Welcome to Let's Talk About It. Here we go! Holy crap!
Looks like you already have.
I need guns. Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Talk About It, the show we talk about everything going on in the movie and TV world. I am your host and I go out and find these topics I want to talk about with you guys, topics I hope you're interested in, and hopefully you're interested in hearing me talk about them as well. Before we start, please make sure you press that subscribe button because it will help us on our goal to 1,000 subscribers. With all that out of the way, guys, let's start with our first topic here today because we got a lot of big topics to talk about. The first one is this. We got Daredevil Born Again dropping in about a week. Very, very excited for the show. Probably one of my most anticipated shows of the year. You know, I cannot wait for this to drop. I'm so excited to see it. But what's got me even more excited, because Daredevil is actually not my favorite Netflix character that they did. My favorite was the Punisher. Jon Bernthal as the Punisher. I think I can't see anyone else playing this character besides him. And, you know, of course we love him showing up in Daredevil, but we've all been wondering, is Marvel really going to give the Punisher a movie or TV spot? Because the Punisher is a very much well-known character. I have to believe, you know, had several movies about him, and also, you know, Jon Bernthal, I think, might be best known as the Punisher, and I really enjoy him as a character. Well, according to a new report, we might be getting a Punisher project, but in a different way than we might think. According to comicbookmovie.com, the Punisher special presentation starring Jon Bernthal officially moving forward at Marvel Studios. Now, this isn't coming from a source. This is coming from the man himself, Frank Castle, Jon Bernthal. He had to say this. He says, he revealed Bernthal is working on a special presentation with us about that character. So basically, he told them, like, yeah, we're doing a project. Now, why did I say it's a bit different? I think this is the best thing you can do for Punisher. Listen. For Punisher, the Punisher is a rated R character. There's no getting around that. You can't make a PG-13 Punisher. There's just no way you can do it. And, you know, what we've seen from the Punisher show, what we've seen from him in Daredevil, this is an R-rated character. Now, I think what special presentation gives the chance Marvel to do is to tell one-off stories, but also tell kind of TVMA rated R stories like Echo. What was that one they did? Werewolf by Night. Yes, Werewolf by Night was great. I loved that idea, like making one-off stories in the Marvel Universe without connecting them to MCU events. And of course, I want to see Jon Bernthal as the Punisher. I want to go see him serving justice, his own version of justice. That's what I love about the character. A lot of us can say the best scene in Daredevil is when Punisher and Daredevil are up on the rooftop, and Daredevil's trying to explain to him, you know, what he's doing isn't right. And one of my favorite lines is, you know, he's like, you know what, Red, you know what? When you put your criminals in prison, they can get out and do it again. But when I go after criminals, I make sure they don't get back up. I make sure they don't get out, and that's their different philosophies. I love the philosophy of the Punisher they set up in that Netflix series. I hope it continues in Daredevil Born Again. But I want to see more of this character. I want to see the Punisher interacting with all these other characters in the MCU as well. I think a special presentation is perfect for this character because I will watch anything Jon Bernthal is in. I think he's just a tremendous actor. He's so enjoyable, and him playing the Punisher, I think, is one of the best castings Marvel has ever done. For me, like, the best two Netflix characters are Daredevil and Punisher. For me, I'm more of a Punisher fan. I love Charlie Cox's Daredevil, but Jon Bernthal's Punisher was like, oh my god, when I watched Daredevil Season 2. Like, this guy, like, I can't imagine anyone else playing this character. But guys, what do you think about this? The Punisher apparently is getting a special presentation at Marvel Studios. Do you think this will kind of be a one-off in the Marvel Universe? Kind of like a one-shot story? Or do you think it will have maybe any connection to the ever-growing MCU? Personally, I don't think it has to, but I'm excited to see the Punisher having a presence at Marvel Studios still. Leave comments down below. let's move on to our second topic here today. Doomsday. Now, we talked about last week that Avengers Doomsday was going to be filming possibly next month in March, but we only heard about Avengers Doomsday. Well, according to a new report, it's actually shooting a month later, but it's also the other Avengers film was shooting back to back. According to comicmovie.com, Avengers Doomsday will officially commence production in April. Now, this was reported by Deadline. Yes, they were Joe and Anthony Russo were at the Chinese theater for the premiere of their movie, The Electric State, which we're going to be doing a movie reaction to that, because I actually think that movie looks a bit enjoyable. Netflix movies are hit and miss. Hopefully it's a hit. I really do hope it is. But they said, yes, we're shooting Doomsday next month, but we're then going to shoot Secret Wars back to back. Now, there were reports before that that were saying, they're going to shoot Doomsday, and then a year later they're going to shoot Secret Wars, which I'm like, I don't know if that's the best plan, because a lot can change in a year. And for Infinity War and Endgame, they shot those movies back to back. Yeah, and you see how well that turned out. Those movies, I think, together grossed around $3 billion, so it worked out pretty well. But, it's exciting that this movie's going to be shooting. Like I said when we heard that it might be shooting next month, but really now it's shooting in April. Whenever an Avengers movie starts shooting, we get so excited because it's the Avengers, man. It's probably one of the biggest superhero franchise out right now, probably the highest grossing superhero franchise. And, in April, we could be getting shots at Doctor Doom on set. We could be seeing all the actors saying, the Thunderbolts are going to be there. The Avengers are going to be there. The Fantastic Four, the X-Men. Who knows who's going to be in this movie? It's just a culmination for us to be excited. And, I think no matter where Marvel is right now, because Marvel is not in the best of states right now, I think Marvel right now is a hit and miss franchise right now after Endgame. But we all know everyone's going to see Avengers. There's no denying that you put the name Avengers in the title of your film, people are going to check it out. And, I'm actually on board with the Russos coming back. For Robert Downey coming back, I'm excited though, but for some reason, it kind of felt like this is something Robert Downey is doing for the money. It just kind of felt like that to me when that casting happened. At the moment, I was really excited, but then afterwards, I'm like, I feel like Robert Downey Jr. is doing this for the money. But, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the script is so good and the story they made up is so good for him to play Doctor Doom. Maybe that's why he came back. But, guys, what do you think about this? Avengers Doomsday will be shooting in April, and and they have revealed they will be shooting Doomsday and Secret Wars back to back, just like Infinity War and Endgame. Leave comments down below. Now let's move on to our third topic here today. Star Wars. Star Wars has been a mess for a while. I'm not going to lie. I have had many, many frustrations with the Star Wars franchise since the end of Rise of Skywalker. One of them for me has been for some reason they have turned Star Wars into a TV franchise rather than putting it back in the movies. Guys, it has been almost 6 years since we have had a Star Wars movie in theaters. It will be 7 years since the Rise of Skywalker, since we had a movie in the Star Wars universe in theaters, which is The Mandalorian Grogu, which I don't really see as a movie, I see as a continuation of a show. The one thing that has made me mad about the Star Wars franchise is just the inability for them wanting to make movies. When Star Wars is a movie franchise, it is meant to be seen on the big screen. And for some reason, they've made a bunch of TV shows. A second thing, how they've announced project after project. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing that. And then they react to it. Nope, we're not doing that. The Lindelofs from Game of Thrones are going to direct a movie. Oh, wait, no, they're exiting the project for creative differences. It is frustrating me. It is for a long time. And for all of us, as fans of the Star Wars franchise, we have said it is time for Kathlyh Kennedy to leave. Kathlyh Kennedy, don't get me wrong, one of the greatest producers. Even guys like Steven Spielberg said she's a great, great producer. Well, guys, sometimes great producers don't make great studio heads. But according to Variety, the day has come, guys. According to them, Star Wars boss Kathlyh Kennedy planning to exit Lucasfilm at the end of 2025. They go on to say this. Kathlyh Kennedy, the longtime president of Lucasfilm, is expected to step down at the end of 2025. She intends to retire after her current contract ends. According to a source with knowledge of her plans, a separate source close to Kennedy, however, dismissed the initial report by Puck as pure speculation and said nothing has been decided. So they're denying this. Of course, they're going to deny that this is legit because, you know, that's Disney for you. Deny. Just deny everything. I think it's about time. You know, Star Wars has been very missed, at least for me, these last couple of projects. If it's The Acolyte, Book of Boba Fett, even Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I still think there's some redeeming things in that show, but honestly, like, Obi-Wan was a disappointment. Acolyte, one of the biggest disappointments. My one show that I was really excited for, Acolyte, dropped the ball tremendously with that show. It was very, very disappointing. And also, like I said before, the inability that this studio has had to not want to make movies. We've not had a movie since The Rise of Skywalker, which came out in 2019. I was in high school when that came out. I was literally a junior in high school when that came out. And we still have not gotten a movie since then, which has baffled me because they've announced like 500 of them ever since, you know, the end of Rise of Skywalker. But the question is, like, who's going to come in and replace him? To be honest, guys, I don't know who will. You know, a lot of people will say, like, it should be Dave Filoni. I'm like, guys, it should not be Dave Filoni. Because, you know, I like Dave Filoni. He's a good guy. Like, Clone Wars, one of my favorite Star Wars things that's ever been made. I love the Clone Wars. I remember when I was a kid in middle school, every Friday night, I would come home and be ready to watch Star Wars, the Clone Wars. It was the one thing I looked forward to every week. But the thing with Filoni is he just tries to push his Clone Wars and Rebels projects into everything. Where, like, at a point when I was watching Ahsoka with my family, they didn't know what the hell was going on. They're like, who's that? Who's this? Like, literally, I was watching a show trying to explain to people who these characters are. Ahsoka, another one. Bad. Just not a good project. And I just don't think Dave Filoni is the guy to come in and fix it. I think they should pull what DC did. They should have someone on the creative side. You know, bring in someone like maybe Jon Favreau to be on the creative side. Then someone on the business side. Because, you know, I like what DC's doing. We're going to talk about DC with our next topic. Some announcements they kind of made. But, you know, I just don't know who would come in to replace her. Like, I think it's going to be a very tedious process. You know, just kind of like how it was a very, very long process for DC to select their next studio heads. Very long, you know, for us to kind of come up who's going to lead actually Disney itself after Bob Chapek exited. Who's going to come in after Bob Iger. You know, this is a really big decision. And I think Disney wants to get it right. I think they want to find someone who's not just going to, you know, cater to the fans and not just make products for money, because of course they want to make money. But they're going to choose someone, you know, I think who likes this stuff. You know, I'm not saying Kathlyh Kennedy didn't. Like, I don't know her personally. She might have loved Star Wars. But, you know, making projects, you know, that they would want to see. You know, like projects, you know, maybe like a Old Republic trilogy, which I've been wanting them to do. Because the sequel stuff, I don't really care about the sequel stuff. Like, now apparently they're doing a sequel trilogy. Like, why not go back to the beginning, you know? Go back to the beginning. Tell the origins of the Jedi. You know, tell the about the period of the Jedi when they're in their highest peak of power in the High Republic era. You know, there's so many different stories, and you don't have to connect everything to Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia. You know, and I appreciate what Kathlyh Kennedy has given us, because with some of the duds, she has given us some good things. You know, Rogue One, I think, is one of the best Star Wars movies to come out since the original trilogy. Andor, one of the best television shows Star Wars has ever made. An Emmy-nominated TV show. The Mandalorian, who is now probably one of the most popular Star Wars characters, alongside with Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia. And then Skeleton Crew, which was like a Goonies show in the Star Wars universe. Like, there has been some good. So, before we all get on our hate break saying, I'm so happy Kathlyh Kennedy's gone, thank you, Kathlyh Kennedy, for the projects you created. You know, introducing characters like the Mandalorian, characters from Star Wars Rogue One, like Andor, and giving a skeleton crew. But I do think it's time for a new leader to come in and lead Lucasfilm. But guys, what do you think about this? It is official. Kathlyh Kennedy will be leaving Lucasfilm at the end of 2025. Are you guys happy about this? And do you guys have any, people you would put out there who could come in and lead Lucasfilm after she exits? Leave your comments down below. And let's move on to our final topic here today. So, an article came out yesterday. I was going to do the Let's Talk About It yesterday, but I got super, super busy and could not record it. But an article came out where they were interviewing James Gunn and Peter Safran about upcoming projects. And they gave out a few announcements and a few updates on what is kind of happening in their DC universe. So, this is going to Variety. DC Studios updates, 2 Batman movies, a possible Teen Titans film, and Penguin Season 2, and why James Gunn posted a photo with Zack Snyder. So, there was some stuff that came out, they made some updates about all their projects, some good, some bad, and I thought some really good updates, The one thing I've loved about James Gunn and Peter Safran is that, studios don't have to do this, studios like Marvel and Star Wars, are not, as honest, I think, as James Gunn is. James Gunn will, literally, see a question on Twitter, and answer it. And now he's doing an interview giving us updates on the projects. Now, one of the things I love that James Gunn has stood by, and Peter Safran, they have said that we're not just going to greenlit projects just to make a connected universe. We want to make projects that we think are really good scripts, or projects that are really, really interesting. That's why we're getting a Clayface movie, getting a movie about Bane and Deathstroke, a dynamic duo movie, that's why we're getting some of these projects, because the scripts are just that good. Now, they talked about some of the existing ones, so we're going to talk about that. So they talked about Superman, how they're really excited for it, and this kind of the stepping up point for their universe. Talked about how Peacemaker is coming, Peacemaker Season 2 dropping in August, and talked about, that actually Rick Flag Sr. is going to be the antagonist for that show, and I really loved Rick Flag Sr. in Creature Commandos, so I'm excited to see how he's going to kind of be the villain in that show. I can kind of see how with Peacemaker killing Rick Flag, so I'm interested to see how that's going to fit into that show. Can't wait for that. Then they talked about Craig Gillespie, how he's halfway through the production of Supergirl. I cannot wait to see Millie Alcock in that Supergirl outfit. I can't wait to see Jason Momoa. And he did say Supergirl Woman Tomorrow is mainly not being shot on outdoor sets. It's more inside a studio. So you're not going to see a lot of behind the scenes look unless someone on set with their camera catches a really blurry picture of it. He also stated that Green Lanterns has just started shooting with Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre, another one that I'm so excited for, because I have been wanting them to bring Green Lantern back, because, I feel like that Green Lantern Ryan Reynolds movie really scared DC into doing more stuff in the Green Lantern universe. I'm that was one dud. We love these characters. I love every single Green Lantern, if that's to Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, Jessica Cruz, who we're going to talk about a little later, and then even characters like Simon Baez, Kilowog, Tomorrow, so many different characters in this Green Lantern universe, and I think the Green Lanterns kind of open up the universal, the space part of this DC universe. And those are kind of the projects that are really, really going to be coming up next for DC. They talked about how, Brave and the Bold, Andy Muschietti, still very much involved with the project. But they did say that some projects are kind of, not going as well as I hoped. Characters like Waller and Booster Gold are kind of, a bit, not going as they wanted. Waller, they're having trouble figuring out the story a little bit for that. And Booster Gold, they were trying to get a certain showrunner, but eventually they couldn't get him, so that's kind of still on hold right now. And James Gunn also mentioned that it's possible Batman could also show up in a project before his own movie, which makes sense. I just don't know where you put Batman. Maybe he shows up in Superman. I highly doubt Batman show up in that Superman movie with all the characters they have in that movie. And James Gunn also did confirm Robert Pattinson will not be the DCU Batman. He's like, we discussed everything, discussed everything into Grant Gustin coming back as the Flash. Even talked about Robert Pattinson coming to play Batman. But I think that just wouldn't work for our universe. So they're gonna let Matt Reeves do his thing with Robert Pattinson while they have a new Batman going at the same time, which I don't think that is bad at all. If you can have free Spider-Man, you can have different other Batmans going at the same time. They also made some updates on Sergeant Rock, saying that movie is happening. I don't know why we're making a Sergeant Rock movie. I don't believe anyone's ever asked for it, but hey, we're getting a Sergeant Rock movie. They said Daniel Craig was in consideration. They said they were just considering him. They never even talked to Daniel Craig, so he was never officially part of that project. They also made some confirmations about Blue Beetle, because we know that they are working on a Blue Beetle animated series with the team that made the Blue Beetle movie, and they did actually say, which I thought was surprising, that Blue Beetle is going to be the series is going to be a sequel to the movies, which is very exciting to hear. Shola Miranda is coming back to voice Blue Beetle himself. Very excited to see him come back in this DC universe. But one of the projects I've been really looking forward to, probably my second most anticipated after Superman, was this Teen Titans film, who's being written by the person who wrote the Supergirl Woman Tomorrow movie. They said that the script is good. They're still making tweaks to it, but guys, they have a script. They have a script for this Teen Titans movie. I think this has a really good potential. I think the Teen Titans movie could be great. You probably wonder, why Teen Titans? Well, I think, in my opinion, some of my favorite DC characters are part of the Titans/Teen Titans. For me, I really hope they go with the classic squad of Nightwing, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, and Cyborg. I just think something about a Teen Titans movie is really good to do before you do a Justice League movie. But they also announced some new projects. Here. They talked about 3 new projects that they are bringing to not the DCU, but kind of the DC animation banner, that are also going to be part of the DC studios, but not. I don't think they said it's part of their DC universe. So let's talk about those projects. Let's talk about some of the projects they announced. The first one they announced, My Adventures with Green Lantern, which I have to think is going to take part in the same universe as My Adventures with Superman. I'm fine with this. This is about a high schooler, Jessica Cruz, as she navigates high school and her life being a Green Lantern. I think this could be interesting. I love My Adventures with Superman. I think that is a very, very enjoyable and fun show. Jack Quaid, of course, voices Superman in that show, and I think he's absolutely great as Clark and Superman. So I'm excited to check it out. Another one, I believe it's called DC Superpowers. It's basically takes part where students called Lightning, The Flash, Plastic Man, Aquagirl, Green Lantern, and Terra, who attend a kind of, superhero university to be the next generation of Earth's heroes. So you can kind of see that's kind of generated towards kids, It reminds me how DC did that DC superhero girls show on Cartoon Network a few years ago. So that's also coming. And then they're doing a Starfire origin story, which that makes me excited because, Teen Titans, Starfire, one of my favorite characters. I have to say I had a little bit of crush on Starfire as a kid. I think she's a really cool character, and I'd love to dive more into the origins of this character. And just to make this clear, guys, I believe none of these shows will be connected internally to the DC universe. I think Starfire could maybe a little bit, but I think this is all being helmed by the showrunner who does the shows like Harley Quinn, My Adventure with Superman, who handles those projects. Those projects are not connected to the DC universe, but are kind of, in the DC animation banner, which are still enjoyable because, like James Gunn said, not everything has to connect to everything. And I think that's what makes this DC universe maybe a bit different than James Gunn's DC universe. And overall, the last thing he ended on was that they have a 6-year plan that is going to culminate in an Avengers Endgame / Infinity War type film. So you can think, that they're going to be facing a big bad, just like how every super universe has to have their heroes. They got to have a big bad coming. So that was exciting that they do have a plan that they've kind of planned all the way through into where they're trying to go with their story. But guys, what do you think about this? A little update on the new DC Universe from James Gunn. Leave your comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.